Good morning to everyone who sees this. Today we are looking at the poet Dante Gabriel Rossetti, born 1828, died 1882. He was the brother of a poet who we already have looked at, Christina Rossetti. Um, he was also born in London. As a promising painter, he attended various art schools, including Royal Academy School. In 1848, along with several painters, poets, and critics, um, among them J.E. Millais and W. Holman Hunt, he formed a short-lived but influential pre-Raphaelite brotherhood. um, Raphaelite Brotherhood, rather. During the 1850s, Rossetti moved away from naturalism, and he joined and from the naturalism of the pre-Raphaelites towards asceticism. So he joined a type of thinkers, including the poet William Morris, the painter and designer Edward Burne Jones, and the poet Algernon Swinburne, with whose work, sorry, with whose work set a new standard of taste and thinking and influenced the aesthetic and descendants of the next generation, including Walter Pater and Oscar Wilde. So he was influential to Oscar Wilde, um, which is great. So, without further ado, I will read a poem that struck my eye by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. It's called "The Wood Spurge," and in case if you don't know, I looked it up. What a spurge is? It's a type of plant. I should have known that, but there are thousands of varieties of spurges. So, the wood spurge. The wind flapped loose. The wind was still, shaken out, dead from tree and hill. I walked on at the wind's will. I sat now, for the wind was still. Between my knees and forehead was, my lips drawn in said, not alas. My hair was over in the grass. My naked ear heard the day pass. My eyes wide open had the run of some 10 weeds to fix upon. Among those few out of the sun, the wood spurge flowered, 3 cups in one. From perfect grief there need not be wisdom or even memory. One thing that learnt remains to me, the wood spurge has a cup of 3. So, that I imagine was his earlier poems, I would say, because of how they described it, but I'm not sure. Well, this was written in 63. That one was written in 63, I think. So maybe that was later. I don't know, but they also have one in here in this book that I could read from, the anthology. They have they say that From the House of Life was a great sonnet of his, and he actually wrote a sonnet called a sonnet in that book. Hold on, From the House of Life was a book of his, and there's a sonnet in it that I think is called a sonnet. And then he wrote one called Silent Noon, which might have been the 19th sonnet in that book. And then the 70th sonnet was called The Hill Summit. And that's the last one that I'm going to read. This feast day of the sun, his altar there in the broad west has blazed for vesper song, and I have loitered in the vale too long, and gaze now a belated worshipper. Yet may I not forget that I was where, so journeying, of his face at intervals, transfigured where the fringed horizon falls, a fiery bush of coruscating hair, and now I have climbed and won this height. I must tread downward through the sloping shade, and travel the bewildered tracks till night. Yet for this hour I still may have been stayed, and see the gold air and the silver fade, and the last bird fly into last light. I thought that was a pretty one, and I really like his choices of rhymes. I really like his images and his choices of rhymes. He's a good poet, so I hope you all enjoyed that. See you tomorrow.